Hey, we are back again. It is May the 4th. Do you know that this is my
It's
favorite
like
holiday?
because it's May the 4th be with you.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
like right behind me I have like part of my Star Wars
Oh,
collection on the shelf behind me and Yoda is right there. That's
okay.
Yoda.
Okay,
So,
okay, wait. I think I could top that. I don't know if the people could see on my wall. See all my photos over there?
yeah.
At the top is the I'm probably gonna say it wrong. The Death Star? No?
You've said it correctly.
Oh, it's
Yes.
that big ship thing.
Yeah, yeah. The
That's a
big
big
ship
poster of
thing.
that.
That's
Gold frame
awesome.
around it.
That's awesome that you framed the Death Star.
Yeah.
See, I have a proclivity towards a draw towards the dark side. I
Okay.
like I like the bad guys.
Okay.
So that's funny. I
Yeah.
root for the bad guys.
Oh yeah.
Um yeah, so it's one of my favorite holidays and I don't do much social media, so I almost forgot until one of my friends texted me this morning and
Uh-huh.
said happy May the 4th. I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right."
Yeah. Same
So,
thing. I saw like an Instagram thing. I was like, oh yeah.
maybe I'm a bad nerd for not remembering that, but oh well.
It happens.
Gosh. So how the heck have you been? It's you guys out there in podcast land don't know, but it's been we talked last week, but that was strictly to troubleshoot our technology,
Yes.
right? So how have you been?
You know what? This is it. This is honest. This is life.
Yeah.
This has been a rough couple of weeks. This has been like and I think we all know this and have this. It's the like, what am I doing with my life?
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think that's a pretty common thing. I think almost to me that comes up quarterly in my life,
Yeah.
and that feeling of clarifying what I'm doing with my life can last, a couple of hours or a few days.
Mm-hmm.
And this one has been a few days,
Gotcha.
and I know what I'm doing with my life, but sometimes I have to reset and
Yes.
refocus.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep. Yeah, that's so true. Because I was thinking about that as you were sharing. I'm like I'm there often too, um, and it's for me, it's usually the draw to abandon the plan I'm on and try to do something that's quicker or easier or more lucrative or something, right?
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
part of the reason I like to stay off social media because I don't need to see another guru's post or ad telling me how to hustle to be, you know, get my next $20,000 or
Hmm.
whatever. It's like my call, my anchor is to like help and serve people.
Right.
Like it's not to try to sucker as many people as I can to get the money out of them as fast as I can. And that can be alluring, Jenny, if like you don't feel like you have progress or momentum. It's like, what am I doing wrong?
Hmm.
I don't have, I'm not posting a picture with my Lamborghini like the guru that
Right.
they like rented for an hour just for the photo shoot, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think I fall into that. Or what draws me is the this can be easy, and
Yes.
not that it can't not be easy, but I do think it requires patience and
Mm-hmm.
consistency and work. Uh,
Yes.
and so I think I get drawn just like you. And you mentioned that on our last podcast that when things maybe get hard, you choose something that you know is out of alignment,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and then you can usually identify that and get back in alignment.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Exactly. That is for me. That's so important. Are defining my values. What are the things that are most important to me? And now this is great timing. Again, real life, but this is going to flow beautifully into our topic today. I was talking with another parent last night at soccer practice because that's what a soccer dad does. He goes to soccer practice, talks to other soccer parents, and we were talking about just the seemingly like the lack of balance in our careers and the rest of our lives. Um, and you know they made a comment somewhere along the lines of not knowing where that balance is, not knowing when they're being drawn too much into work, or it could be anything. It doesn't have to be career, it could be anything.
Hmm.
And so I was able to articulate like, if my work starts to take away from my family and my mental well being, that's a huge red flag.
Hmm.
I'm not going to sacrifice my family, and I'm not going to sacrifice my mental well-being for any job, any career, any hustle, any business, anywhere. Won't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're firm on what your values are, and some people's could be different, they don't have to be family and mental well-being, could be other things. But when you have an idea of what your values are, you're able to really design an effective lifestyle around that.
Mm-hmm.
I know where you're bound. You see what I did there? I went right into lifestyle design. Did you see that?
Yeah, I like that. It wasn't even planned. I was waiting for it too. I was like edged.
Yeah.
You're gonna bring it all
It was coming. So, so we are not experts. We are not trying to be. We are just documenting our journey as we're trying to lead each other home. And that's what, can I call it the Woven Podcast now?
Oh,
That's
yes.
that's what the Woven Podcast is all about. It's my journey and Jenny's journey and your journey are all interwoven, and we're all just trying to lead each other home. And today we want to talk about this idea of how do you design a lifestyle that is in harmony, that is fulfilling the health in your body, fulfilling your life's calling, fulfilling the community that you serve in. All of these things, what elements go into lifestyle design, and what are really the benefits of that? So that's kind of what Jenny and I want to talk about today. And true to our form, this is not scripted. We just texted these ideas back and forth, and we keep a little spreadsheet of ideas. We have a couple words written down, but we're just kind of hack this out as we go, and just share from our experiences. So this is going to be fun.
It is.
Buckle up, friends.
Okay.
Well, first, I think it'd be interesting to talk about our backgrounds and the diversity of our backgrounds, from not only a coaching standpoint, but what things we've partaken in that, they all act, I think, as like little Legos or puzzle pieces to build this bigger thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
The common one is we both have a background in CrossFit from a physical fitness perspective.
True.
And that's how Jenny found me, and that was a commonality we had. I've been an affiliate owner and a coach for 8 years now, closer to 10. How long have you been coaching,
I was gonna say
Jenny?
8 year,
Yeah.
8 or 9, same thing. Not an affiliate owner, but just a coach. Mm-hmm.
But you have, similar to like the physical fitness and kind of how it works in with the methodology, you have strong foundation in nutrition coaching as well.
Yes, I've been nutrition coaching for 5 years, as well as CrossFit coaching. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Those two things are easier to kind of go hand in hand, right?
Right.
Well, you would think.
True. That's true. Yes. I just spoke at a last Saturday at a different CrossFit gym just about nutrition, and I thought so much about how I wanted to open up the topic, because this is how I presented it, and I think it's relatable as we're living our lives here, right? And then there's this, I want to say, an elephant in the room or a presence or something. And to me, I would name that nutrition or food. I can name it even broader, food. And I think we all live like this. Like I got, I'm going to work out really hard, or I'm not, whatever. It doesn't have to be CrossFit. I'm going to jog every day. And there's this thing over here that we know we need to look at. But we continually either look straight ahead or we turn away. And one of the beautiful things that happened in my life is I was kind of, by life circumstances, asked to turn and look at this thing, this big thing, that I think because we don't look at it, or because we don't want to think about it, or because we have these weird ideas about it, it's way bigger than it really needs to be. And I think I just pictured my life about nutrition, which is way more than nutrition, but it's a moment where I decide I'm actually going to look at that part of my life. And when I look at that part of my life, I'm looking at myself. It's not food. Food is the thing, the catalyst that helps me look internally at myself. and I think one of the things, I think when I mentioned I've been having a week of like, I don't know what I'm doing. I go back to my why. Why? You say you want to help and serve people. And I want to do that. And one of the things that drives me is I don't want this big part of our lives, this everyday thing we have to face, I don't want it to be mysterious to people.
Hmm.
Or I don't want anyone to live with the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
It can be, I want you to be able to take it in and it becomes a part of who you are and a part of your life that's fun
Yep.
and somewhat easy
Yeah.
and a beautiful way that you choose to take care of yourselves. It's just, it's so complicated. Um,
Yeah.
but that's why I have this desire to make it less complicated
Yeah.
and bring more freedom, I guess, in that area.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the reasons I think you're so successful um, in this area when you do coach people, and one of the reasons I love your approach is because you see the interconnectedness of food to more than just physique.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people, I mean, to kind of continue in that first frame of reference in both of our lives, like that physical fitness space, a lot of people add nutrition kind of as a catalyst to or a way to refine their physical fitness goals. If
Mm-hmm.
you want to lose weight or gain muscle, that has to be done via nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I've understood you correctly, and all these times we've been talking,
Mm-hmm.
nutrition isn't necessarily just about, it can be, but it's not just about your physical performance or physical appearance. Food really is, it's life. It's how we see and view ourselves. It's how we interact in community. Food is all of those things to you, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I love the interconnectedness of that. And I think that is a great example of how, all right, if food is not just about my physical body, it's about, my mental health, emotional health, my communal health. What other parts of our lives do we need to be thinking about when it comes to lifestyle design?
Mm-hmm.
And what else is interconnected, woven together?
Yes. Yes.
I'm telling you, that's the
Yeah.
jam right there.
Mm-hmm.
What other things are woven together to make this life? And
Mm-hmm.
to kind of continue our story, right? We were both in the CrossFit space. You were also a nutrition coach. We got together though to talk about life coaching
Yes.
because we began to realize, and I think some of the gym industry or has started to realize that it's not enough just to like do workouts and talk about nutrition, eating fruits and vegetables. We need to talk about the rest of the life, mental skills, or however they want to form it there. Because those are interconnected as well. Those are woven together as well.
Yes.
You found that through your nutrition coaching, though. You didn't necessarily see that like, oh, I want to add life coaching to what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think you saw that you were kind of basically already doing it through how you coach people through nutrition. Yeah.
Yes. It's funny you're saying that because in my quest of, you know, redefining my why, and just before we got on this podcast, I thought as soon as I became a nutrition coach, I very much kind of followed how I was taught. And then I began to realize, wow, I'm really getting to see these my clients' lives. And I've said this before and I will say it again. It is like my honor to be able to let people let me see what they eat. It's such a
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable thing. And I
Yeah.
began to really see the sacredness that was occurring between our conversations, and that it was going much deeper than food, and that I had an opportunity to um, speak into someone's life on a deeper level. And I used to do that. I would say, I'm gonna say the right word, incognito. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, I'm gonna talk to them about their lives, but I don't want them to know because then they'll leave. And I've gotten more. confident in my abilities
Mm-hmm.
as from talking with you and just learning more and practicing more, that now I was like, I just say it.
Yeah.
I say, hey, I'm the kind of coach that's a life coach too, and I'm going to talk to you about your life as well as food because I cannot separate the two.
Right.
And so I think that I tried to almost hide that part of my life because I thought people would shy away from it. And what I have
Mm-hmm.
found is the more I kind of acknowledge, hey, you understand that I'm also a life coach and I'm also going to talk to you about your life. Every single client says, "Oh, I know. Oh, I know." It's like I was hiding something from myself, and they already um, knew that and were open to that. And so now I think the beautiful part is I don't have to hide some part of me that really does want to make sure that those are even interwoven.
Yeah. Yep. There's that woven word again.
I used it on purpose.
We're getting good at that. We,
Mm-hmm.
it's exciting when you decide on your branding elements. It's really
It's
exciting.
true because it's
Um,
there. It's always been there.
yeah, it has. Oh, absolutely, it has.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I love the that the more we start looking at different elements, to kind of go back to what you were saying, it was always there. Once we start discovering different elements and we realize how interwoven they all are, we're like, that was there the whole time. The
Mm-hmm.
life coaching element of nutrition and physical fitness, those things were there the whole time. We just didn't realize them or notice them. Um,
Yes.
for me, my kind of, well, let me back up a second. One of the things I started to realize when I looked at these ever expanding frameworks of how we coached, like in a CrossFit affiliate, a gym, fitness boutique, a studio, whatever, is the framework slowly started to expand from workouts in nutrition to workouts, nutrition, and mindset, and these things started to expand. Um, so I was part of like a mentorship and a co-op called Two Brain, and when they came out with their framework, it was sleep, eat, move, manage. And I'm like, wow, that is like really all encompassing, right? How you sleep is incredibly important. It could totally sabotage how you move, manage, and eat, right? And we
Totally.
started to see
Yes.
that how interwoven all these things were, which got me to thinking that it was really at that point I said, well, what else is there then? Because it seems like every time you look a little bit closer, you see another element of lifestyle design that should probably be considered. And when I, recognized they were there, when I started to be intentional about that area of my life, everything else tended to flourish. Things started to be, I hate the word balance because that means all things are even. Balance isn't the case. I like harmony because I'm
Oh,
musical, right? All
oh
these kind
yeah.
of different, yeah, all these kinds of instruments playing different notes, but they work together to make a beautiful harmony. All these different elements started to work in harmony with one another. So I started thinking, like, what other aspects of lifestyle design are woven together so much so that we need to consider those when we coach people or talk to people.
That's great. Yes.
Um, so there's a couple. I'll go over some of the resources I like studied, and we can kind of
Mm-hmm.
chat through these.
Yeah.
Um, so similar to the CrossFit community, well, not similar. He is in the CrossFit community. Ben Bergeron
Mm-hmm.
used a framework of eat, sleep, train, think, connect.
Mm-hmm.
So that added a different element there of connecting with people, of relationships. Um, I'm a big fan of Cal Newport. He is, do I have some of his books on my shelf? A lot of my books are still in boxes in storage. He's writ, he's written a couple different books about um, academia and productivity and being productive maybe as a professional. But a lot in his podcast, he explores a lot now about being intentional about lifestyle design.
Mm-hmm.
So he uses four buckets: craft, like a hobby, a skill, a craft.
Mm-hmm.
Community, there's community.
Yeah.
Constitution, which is everything to do with your physical body. So that's nutrition and
Mm-hmm.
working out. And then contemplation. What are you learning? Why are you taking care of your mind?
Mm.
So I was like, oh, yes. He expands right there, like on that connecting community thing. And then a last resource that I really liked was a book on the blue zones. I don't know if you've
Mm-hmm.
heard about this study. Blue zones, lessons for living longer from world communities that live the longest.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a number of topics. I'll just like touch on these real quick and we can continue discussing. But they found that these people moved naturally, meaning
Yeah.
not a machine at the gym. They moved naturally with their
Mm-hmm.
environment. They had life purpose. They had stress management. They practiced a kind of mindful eating. The common among these populations were this idea of eating to about 80% full, not stuffing ourselves, which
Mm-hmm.
I've been guilty of, especially when there's times of stress.
Yes.
One interesting thing they pointed out in that book was wine at 5. One community did. They would have, wine or their drinks in moderation, but more importantly, in community.
Mm.
Belonging to some kind of faith-based community, which actually leads to another book I've read.
Mm.
Investing in family and finding the right tribe of people to be around. So that one is really heavy on connecting with people.
Yeah, I noticed that. That one was really connections.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And that's a great subset of the population to study. If you want to talk about lifestyle design, these people tend to live the longest
Right.
out of anyone else on the planet. So that could be a good book club book, actually.
Oh, the Blue Zone?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
that could be a
haven't
good book
read
club.
it. I mean, I've been exposed to it a little bit.
Mm-hmm. That
Yeah.
could be a good one.
Yeah, it's true.
So I started thinking of all these different areas. And it's like, what makes up effective lifestyle design? What sort of elements do you need to think of and include if you're really to live this rich, deep, fulfilling, meaningful life on your terms?
Mm-hmm.
So
So those were kind of your
yeah,
categories.
that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like all these different things I found when I've been kind of subtly researching the
Mm-hmm.
topic.
Right. I was thinking about because you had sent me just your research,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought about, and I think this falls under connection, but I just heard this wonderful little 30-minute talk from Steve Chandler, who's
Mm.
a famous, I guess, life coach,
Yeah,
and
famous coach.
and maybe you've heard this talk that he did. I'm assuming it's pretty popular, but what it boiled down to was he had a mentor who would study um, suicide notes. Have you heard this?
I have not.
Okay,
No.
so his mentor would, I think, for many years of his life, if I understood correctly, would study why someone would commit suicide, and then what would bring them to the place to want to end their lives, or even write a note
Mm-hmm.
about that process. And what he found from all of his studies was that those people felt like they were not making a difference.
Mm.
So like it could be a tiny difference, but that they were making a difference in their lives or in someone else's life.
Yeah.
And so I keep coming back to this thing that there's this intrinsic part of us, and I think it falls under community and just connecting, that we all want to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. I think
Mm.
that's intrinsically
Yeah.
in us.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's when we seek out communities, and that we all do want to feel like we're contributing or making a difference to someone or something else, even if that's like an animal or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the care of a pet
Yeah.
is huge.
Mm-hmm.
I have that same feeling about my plants. I have lots of plants. They all have names, but that's very intentional on my part,
Yeah.
because I know there's a part of my heart that wants to care for something else besides myself.
Hey, Brendon here, and this is a great place to pause this conversation on designing a harmonious life. And we have a lot more to unpack, but we're going to do that next week in part 2 of this episode, Designing a Harmonious Life. So make sure you're subscribed so you get a notification when that episode drops. Let us know what you think about this episode and how this framework is filling out. We can't wait to hear from you and can't wait to have you as part of the discussion. See you in the next episode.